So thinking back, there are a few teachers that were very meaningful in my life. One of them was a high school teacher, a history teacher. And I remember a particular moment. We were learning about the Civil War, and I wrote a paper about Reconstruction. And he asked me if I would come after school one day to talk to him about this paper. And he had my paper in front of him, and there was just red ink all over it. And he basically said, you know, you did a lot of work on this, but I really think you got it completely wrong. And he went through sort of point by point things that he thought I'd misunderstood, and he brought a lot of evidence to bear. And you know, there's a way I was reeling a little bit from this, but there's also a way that what he was conveying was such a deep investment in my learning, and that he cared so much about getting it right, and he cared so much about my getting history right. And I was very moved by it, and I was very moved that he was staying after school to spend this time with me and to invest in me. And I remember thinking that I want to show my students that kind of care and investment. A second teacher, different stages in my life, that was very important to me was when I got out of college. My first job was working for an anti-poverty organization. I worked for a man named Tom Joe, who was blind and had many other disabilities, and was considered the founder of the SSI program, the Supplemental Security Income Program. He had worked in the Nixon administration, even though he was a liberal. But Tom was, we used to call him a terrorist for kids. He wasn't into collaboration for collaboration's sake or process for process sake. I think he woke up every morning thinking, have I done something for kids today? And am I really improving the state of kids today? He was very eyes on the prize. And I learned from him how to be just dogged and passionate about improving the lives of children, and not getting caught up in how many articles you write, or how many speeches you give, or how many meetings you have, but really getting caught up in what kind of results am I having day to day. And the third person was much later in my life. It was here at the Ed School. One of my teaching fellows, a woman named Aaliyah El-Amin, who was a wonderful person, and she was a teaching fellow in my class, and she's African American, and at some point she said to me, she said it in a very nice way, but in effect she was saying, you're teaching race, but you're not really teaching race. You're not really moving into this conversation. The implication I took from her comments was, this is a conversation you're trying to manage. It's not a conversation you're really trying to turn into and engage deeply and engage students in deeply. And she very thoughtfully and patiently sort of advised me, coached me, consulted me about how to have difficult conversations about race in a way that I was comfortable with, that other students were comfortable with, and that was going to really enrich their learning. And I was very moved by her patience, by her discipline, by her ability to take my perspective. And sometimes you learn from the people who are working for you or your students in all kinds of ways, and I learned profoundly from her.